Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of March. We're in the middle of a retrograde at the moment, and I don't deal well with Pisces energy, so with the retrograde on top, I'm kind of falling over my words and waffling a little bit, so bear with me. It is just a temporary blip. I'm sure once we hit Aries season, my fire will reignite. I hope it's being a little kinder to you than it is to me. So, could I have 3 cards for Virgo, please? Virgo. That's the first one. And we've got the 6 of Pentacles. That's Earth energy, like you. I think that's strictly Taurus. So, where is Virgo right now? What's Virgo dealing with right now? Got the 3 of Wands. It's fire energies, Aries, I think, strictly. And what's coming towards Virgo in the month of March? What can Virgo expect from March? Card vomit, apparently. Alright. The 4 of Wands, the Devil. 4 of Cups, Page of Swords, High Priestess. Yeah, that's far too many there. We're going back in the deck. What's coming towards Virgo, please? 1 card. What's coming towards Virgo? I asked for 1, I got 2. But they're very positive. We've got the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool. Right, I like that. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Now, that's the card of Sagittarius, but it talks about improving, an improvement in your circumstances. If you've been struggling, then the Wheel of Fortune and the Fool together are really nice cards to see. Ace of Pentacles as well, actually. They're all actually pretty positive cards, so it's looking good. Right, there's 6 of Pentacles, please. There's the 6 of Pentacles here for Virgo. Got the 7 of Wands there. Ooh, and Judgment. Interesting. Why is the 3 of Wands here for Virgo, please? Wheel of Fortune again. Interesting. Why is the 3 of Wands here? Ooh. King of Cups. And tell me about the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool, please. We've got the 4 of Cups, Ace of Pentacles and the Fool. And the 9 of Pentacles. Beautiful. I really like this. At the bottom of this deck, we've got the 6 of Swords, which talks about moving away from difficult circumstances, difficult situations that you've maybe been struggling with. Directly under that, we've got the Moon, which talks about the inner world for me, the subconscious, getting in touch with those parts of yourself that are hidden, greater understanding of yourself. And then directly under that, we've got the Ace of Pentacles again, which is great. And I'll get into why that's great shortly. So, in the recent past, we've got the 6 of Pentacles here. And it's Earth energy, like you. But the principal message of the 6 of Pentacles is balance. It's about regaining balance, coming as it does directly after the 5, which talks about change, talks about uncomfortable change often, real shifts, seismic shifts in your material circumstances, but in your security, in your sense of being protected, right? It's on a shore, and we've got the sea beyond it, and the sky looks remarkable, actually. got an almost kaleidoscopic view behind those pentacles. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up. But it's often depicted as a chap who is, or chap or woman, whoever, who is, you know, distributing alms to, you know, the virtuous poor. She's usually got a scale in one hand and she's kind of... But I don't usually like that depiction because she's literally just giving them crumbs. These poor people who are down there, you know, she's very wealthily dressed and, you know, or he, whoever. This is slightly different though, because this crow is elevated above the other two, obviously. They've got fish. And I feel like fish is a much more hearty meal than the breadcrumbs that you usually get on a Six of Pentacles card. But one of them is screeching down here. And so, rather than this being a card of achieving balance, which is sometimes the way that you could read it, it feels like what you've been struggling with recently is the ability to achieve it at all, right? I'm drawn to this crow down here who's kind of yawping up at this one who's still holding a fish and going, you know, give me some fish. But because there's water on the card, it makes me feel like this is an emotional position that you're in. Like you have been all over the place and you're trying desperately hard to balance yourself out. For an earth sign, that's extremely important anyway. But it's emotionally rather than any other sense, rather than a sense of resources. I mean, maybe there's been some resource management that's been necessitated by whatever shift you've experienced. But primarily, the issue has been an emotional one, right? And it's clarified by the Seven of Wands and Judgment. There. And the Seven of Wands is a card of usually feeling defensive. Like, I've seen some depictions where it looks protective rather than defensive, and there's a subtle difference between the two. They're quite nuanced positions, you know. But I guess you could define either in a positive or a negative way. But usually there's some notion of attack by unseen assailants, right? All you can see is the wands being thrust up at the person, and the person's there. You know, they're often guarding a position which is on the high ground, right? On there, either protecting or defending or whatever, you know. But this is slightly different because this woman is stood with her back to the wands, right? They're not all up attacking her. She's got one behind her back slung quite casually, like she actually looks to be like some sort of character out of Mad Max or something. Like, that's pretty cool. But rather than being attacked, she's got these all behind her, right? She's got one in her hand, ready to thwack anybody who comes too close. But the others are just there, so, you know, if somebody were to get that wand off her, she's got more behind her, ready to go. And so I'm coming back to this guarded, right? Because there's no, she's got her eyes closed. There's no threat of imminent attack. She's just ready for it when it comes. The question is whether this attack is coming at all. Like, obviously the woman is ready. She's done all of her preparation. She's on guard, but because she's got her eyes closed, like, they're not in front of her. They're not even off on the hillside somewhere. You know, she's just ready for attack. But it's an expectation of attack that maybe not even coming. And then we've got the Judgment card. Now, the Judgment card is the card of Scorpio in the Major Arcana, but it often talks about resurrection. Right, it talks about situations that you thought were dead and buried coming back up, and they can, you know, be people coming back. They can be, you know, situations that you thought that you dealt with came back. They can be emotional situations that you thought you had dealt with coming back. I'm not getting a sense of that off this card today. It feels more like a wake-up call, like you've had a wake-up call. All of the characters in this card are looking towards something that is undefined in the sky. And we're back to this undefined, actually. Now I think about it, you know, there's light emanating from something, and they've all got their faces upturned to look at it. But rather than, as with other cards, you see clearly an angel in the sky who's tooting on his horn and he's resurrecting the dead. You know, there are gravestones here, but there's no sense of these people being corpses like it's usually depicted. There's no resurrection of the dead. It feels like a wake-up call. It feels like something has spurred you into action. You know, something's occurred that's left you feeling very guarded. It's left you feeling like you need to examine something quite hard, but it's also left you in a bit of emotional turmoil, right? Desperately trying to rebalance yourself. I might just pull another card for that, because that seems quite vague. Ooh, which deck do I want? Oh, John Bauer, apparently. Cool. Tell me more about the Seven of Wands, please. Page of Pentacles. Page 7 of Wands. And the Three of Wands. Right. We've got the Page of Pentacles and the Three of Wands. Right. I always think that this Page of Pentacles dude looks like, not shifty exactly, but he looks like he's hoarding. It looks like he's hoarding something that's important to him, right? And then we've got the Three of Wands, which is about expansion, right? It's about effecting in the 3D those things that you've put into place in the Two of Wands, which is a crossroads. You know, it's logistical planning. It's how you're going to, you know, deciding which direction that you're going to go in before the three actually moving in that direction. So it feels like there's a bit of forethought, actually. This is resource planning for an expansion, for a movement in a particular direction, which currently feels like you're guarding it. Like you're just not sharing it with other people. Like you're not telling anybody that you're doing this. Being an earth sign, it's possible that you're getting on top of your material situation in the hope that this will give you either the breathing space to deal with the emotional situation, or excuse me, that dealing with the material may alleviate the emotional. Right, take it as it resonates to you. But I feel like that's what it is, because this is also being done in the dark. You know, there's not much illumination here. It's done in the shadows, it's done in the background, and it's in preparation for a movement off in a particular direction. Why is Judgment here, please? For Virgo. Oh, we've got Temperance there. That's the card of Sagittarius, but it talks about healing and balance, actually. More cards of balance. And then we've got the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles can be the family. There you are at the bottom of the deck. Ten of Pentacles can be family, your family situation, you know, commitment and stability around you. So it could be that there's a Sagittarius who's brought in this wake-up call, or you brought a wake-up call to a Sagittarius. That's possible. But speaking of healing and balancing, as Temperance does, I'm drawn to the fact that only the face is visible above the water here. You know, it's another card of things happening. You know, with this one, it's in the shadows. With this one, it's under the water. It seems like the majority of what's going on down here is literally underneath the water. And there's a snail down here, which I associate with independence, right, quite strongly. It takes its home with it. So, you know, it doesn't need to be fixed in one location. It's not dependent on anything. It can move, right? That's the thing. It's holding a little heart down there too. But look how, like, it's only from there upwards, you know. and it's more water. Even though it's a fire card, there's a lot of water on this card. There's a lot of emotional stuff in here. And then we've got the Ten of Pentacles. It can talk about business. It can talk about legacy and heritage too, you know. But it's security and stability in the material world. Whether that's through a business or whether that's through your sense of family, you know, any of these things. This is something that you've been looking at. This is something that you've been examining. And it's been tricky. Like, I've just, from this, I can tell that it's been tricky for you. You know, it's something that you've been struggling with. But then we move to the Three of Wands. Now, the Three of Wands, like I said, it's the second time I had it out. It talks about expansion. It talks about executing those plans that you made in the 2 and bringing them out into the 3D where other people can see them. But for me, it seems like this Three of Wands is a bridge here, or some sort of almost restriction, actually. I'm going to see restriction really strongly because we've got more water in this card, right? But it's a big, like, wavy mass. There's a huge amount of emotion behind here, which these 3 wands are effectively holding back. Now, for how long we don't know, because they're not particularly effective barriers. But this crow can use these wands to progress from one side to the other. And it certainly does seem that it's holding back the emotions. There's a star up in the corner as well. And star is hope and faith. You know, it's following your guiding star. The crow is turned towards the star. You know, it's going to traverse this gap, whatever this is, this chasm here. And is the water rushing in? Is the crow trying to get across before the water rushes in? Or is it actually acting as a barrier? It's difficult to tell from here. But there's a sense of a small hope, you know, shining off in the distance. There's a lot of emotion in there, though. But then we've got the Wheel of Fortune and the King of Cups, right? Now, the Wheel of Fortune, like I said, is the card of Sagittarius. It's also the second time that it's appeared in this reading, so you might be dealing with a Sagittarius. I really like this depiction of the Wheel of Fortune because normally it's just a wheel of some description, right? And it may or may not have the 4 fixed signs, so, you know, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius and Leo on it. This one doesn't. But it's usually just a wheel, right? It's usually a disparate part of a greater machine, right? What I really like about this interpretation of it as a windmill is that there's a notion that there's stuff going on outside. There's the stuff that you cannot perceive, right? And that would be the wind blowing the sails around. I mean, you can perceive it a bit because you can feel the breeze, but you cannot see it, right? There's a notion of something that you can feel but not see in motion, right? But inside this windmill, it's this force that you cannot see but you can feel, which is turning these, you know, sails of the windmill round. It's all connected to something smaller inside. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the point where it's turning the stone that is grinding the corn, you know, or whatever it is, the wheat, so I suppose. But it's always positive when this card turns up. You know, it does talk about an upswing in fortune of some description, right? Forces are at work here, assisting you. And if you're not aware of them yet, you're going to start feeling the breeze very soon, I think. You know, because the sun is out in the background as well. You know, it's great prosperity. Some readers say, like, if this turns out, if you've been having a good time recently, then you can expect a nosedive. But for me, I only ever see it when it comes up, and I love the fact that the sun is here because that adds credibility to that for me. So coming out as it does underneath here, if this crow is in quite a precarious position because this water is actually in motion and it's going to hit fairly soon, then there are forces at work assisting you scuttle across here. Right? If it's a barrier holding it back, then there are forces at work that will keep this strong, keep the water, away. They look red hot. Maybe they're just going to evaporate all the water. Who knows? And then we've got the King of Cups. Now this is strictly Scorpio, but it's it could be Cancer or Pisces. But it's emotional maturity. It's emotional availability. The King of Cups is somebody who can sit in his emotions and not be swayed by them, not be knocked off his perch by them. That's the point of him. That's what he does. So it could be that the harbinger of this good fortune could be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, man or woman, doesn't matter, coming in to assist with it. Or it could be that you're starting to get on top of your emotions, right? You're starting to understand not just what's going on inside, but now what is required from you going forwards, I think. I'm going to pull another couple of cards because I'm nosy. Tell me more about this King of Cups. Why is this King of Cups here? Lovers. Good Lord. Well, that's fascinating, because what we've got here is the King of Pentacles, which could be an earth sign, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, could be you. Doesn't have to be male, like I said. But what's fascinating is we've got the Lovers on the moon here, and then the Wheel of Fortune again. That's the third time that's appeared here with the Nine of Cups. Right? Now, the Wheel of Fortune is the defining message from this reading, absolutely no doubt about that, because it's come out in every single deck that I've used, right? This is really important. Things are improving. Whether you can see it or not, whether you can perceive it or not yet, things are improving. Things are on the up. You just got to wait for a few things to kind of click into place. And as much as I despise the phrase divine timing, because I'm a fire sign and I fucking hate waiting for anything, there is an aspect of this here for you. Right? Take it on board. We've got the Lovers and the Moon, which could be a Gemini, could be a Cancer. But if not, it could talk about a romantic relationship that you have. It can talk about plumbing the depths of that, right? Because for me, the Moon is talking about going within and kind of, not even going within, it's about letting the dark, shadowy stuff kind of come up to the surface so that you can acknowledge it and you can release it and you can let it go. And it's interesting that it's come up underneath a card that speaks of emotional maturity, emotional receptivity, somebody who can deal with their own emotions about something. And move forwards in light of that. And then we've got the Wheel of Fortune and the Nine of Cups. Now, again, things are improving, or possibly a Sagittarius. But for me, the nines, the 10 is the completion of the cycle, right? We know that. And once you hit the top, then you come back round to the ace at the bottom. So a 9 is a nearly there. And being cups, it's about emotion. It's about emotional fulfillment and all that sort of thing. This is sometimes called the wish card. I don't usually call it that. But for me, the Nine of Cups is a sense of being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable with your emotional position, and being comfortable with being potentially by yourself. There's this kind of weird hillside ogre woman type thing who is lifting this woman up on her hand. You know, it could be that you've got an older woman who's going to come in and help you with this, but there's such a mythical look to this woman here. It feels like it's something a little bit more esoteric than that. You know, you've been put on a path now which you cannot yet see. You can't see where it goes, and you cannot maybe perceive the edges of the path. You maybe not even realise that you've changed direction, but you have. And it's going to lead to something really quite special. You know, being in this space as you are at the moment and giving some deep contemplation to a relationship, you're doing work that's really important for you to lead forward to this. And I love it. I absolutely love it, actually. Because what we've got... Oh, it's another night. What's coming towards you in March is the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool. Now, this is two cards of new beginnings, right? For me, the Ace of Pentacles isn't just an opportunity, because sometimes it can be an opportunity to make money of some description or improve your material circumstances in some way. So that can be a job offer, that can be a promotion, that can be something like that. You know, if you're hanging out for something like that, it's quite likely that it's coming in the month of March. But more than that, because it's you, because it's Virgo, because you're an earth sign, this is a solid start, right? Something that you can perceive where you cannot yet perceive what's going on here, right? This is something solid. And it's paired up with the Fool, which is absolutely beautiful, because this is the card of new starts, right? Not just a new opportunity, you know, a job promotion, a raise, you know, a new job, something like that. This is uncharted territory. This is somewhere that you've never been before, right? And it seems like this Wheel of Fortune here has been aligning you, whether you realised it or not. And I do sense the pain and the emotional turmoil that you've been in recently, and probably still sat in to a degree. Like, whether you realise it or not, it's shifted your direction subtly towards this. And you had to experience all of this before you were ready to take this on, right? It's the card of Aries for me as well. So it could be that there's an Aries that's important in this. It's funny, it's always like one of those pictures where the more you look at it, the less you can discern about what's actually going on in it. There's a big tree in the background, and for me, trees always talk about things with really solid foundations. So it's really well placed on that card. But Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Pentacles, there's an improvement. There's an opportunity to improve your circumstances somewhere, and it is something that you've never done before. Okay. Directly underneath that, we've got the Four of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. The Four of Cups often talks about rejection. It can talk about taking things for granted and stuff like this. But I feel like underneath here, it's coming up to warn you to be aware of this opportunity when it comes in, because it's directly underneath the Ace of Pentacles. This dude is so busy looking at his knee, he's not noticing not only that there are three cups around him, and perhaps that is emotional support around you that you didn't even realise you could rely on, but it's there and it's been there for you. But there is a new cup being proffered, an Ace of Cups, you know, infinite potentiality of the cup suit. We're talking about emotional fulfillment of some description, you know, things that make you feel good. It's directly underneath the Ace of Pentacles. So don't miss this opportunity because you were busy staring at your knees. You know, this work that you've been doing to try and balance yourself out, and, you know, we've got several cards of balancing yourself out. It's really, really important. And then we've got the Nine of Pentacles, which is the card of self-sufficiency for me, right? It's Pentacles energy again, so it's you. But it doesn't have to be resource. Independence. I mean, it quite often is. but it's somebody who is comfortable. Again, we've got another 9. This is almost like the inner and the outer, actually, you know, inner rather and outer. We've got somebody who is comfortable doing things by themselves emotionally, but also somebody who is comfortable and confident doing things for themselves externally as well, you know, with the managing of resources and stuff like that. I'm going to pull another couple of cards because, like I said, I'm really nosy. Whether you understand it or not, and it's probably going to be, I hear a year, it's going to be a year before you fully understand what this was and what this has done for you. You know, it's going to feel like it was actually a really important turning point for you, but not in a sad way. I mean, there may be some sadness attached to it, but you're going to look back on this in a while and see that it was actually functioning for your higher good. Quite often, well, that's just how life works, isn't it, really? I've had some fucking shitty things happen to me, and looking back, it changed my life and it was the best thing that could have happened, but I struggled for a very long time with it, you know. This card's dropping out right, left and centre down here, but nothing flying. Put these back in. Let's start again. What's come out already is the Knight of Wands and the Devil, but the Devil's come out reversed, and honestly that's kind of how we want to see it, you know, unless we're talking about some really, really good sex, in which case we want to see it the right way up, but it's in reverse here, and that's excellent because the Devil often indicates toxicity and fear, really, actually. And it's funny, when I was doing the meditation before I started this video, like I did actually have palpitations and my palms went really, really sweaty. I really didn't feel happy with the energy that I was feeling once I started. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to dictate how the rest of the reading went. But it was a fear response. That's how it felt. It was a fear response. And what we've got is your ability to release yourself from whatever it is that you are fearing at the moment. And the Knight of Wands it's another card of Sagittarius, actually, but it's very spontaneous energy, right? It's always moving. It's never staying in the same spot once. And that is quite contrary to your energy. Even though you're a mutable sign, you know, there's a certain amount of movement with Virgo that you don't get with the other earth signs. Well, Capricorn, yeah. Okay, but it's slow and it's methodical and it's you know, it's like a fear of being broadsided by life, almost. Maybe being broadsided by a Sagittarius, who knows? But oh, that's beautiful. Love that. Oh, that's lovely. On the bottom of the deck now, we've got the Six of Swords, right? Whatever this situation is that you're in at the moment, whatever's caused this emotional turmoil, you are going to be able to walk away from it, right? She's leaving footprints in the snow, right? There's wounding there, but ultimately she's getting up and she's moving away from it, and that's really important. Yeah. From whatever it was that's wounded her, she's coming and she's moving away. So we've got this fear of whatever this, you know, of stuff just changing too fast, right? Stuff changing too fast for you to keep up with. But then we've got another ace, but it's the Ace of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Right? And did the Ace of Cups come up somewhere? Oh, no, I was talking about it in here, right? So there's that ace that you were being warned not to miss the opportunity of because you were busy staring at your knees. It's down here, right? Here it is with the Two of Pentacles, which is another card that talks about balance. It's yours. It's your balance, you know. Quite often with the Two of Pentacles, you see somebody who looks in a fairly perilous position and they don't look very happy. Like, there's a sense of unsustainability about what they're trying to do, because they're juggling the pentacles, standing on one leg, standing potentially on a jetty with waves like this and ships, you know, up and down in the background. You know, it's a really difficult energy. But this is not, right? This is very peaceful right here. And it's this opportunity, this new opportunity, this Ace of Cups right there, right? These two are directly underneath your self-sufficiency, which is directly underneath the Fool. You know, your new start in uncharted territory. Like, what has occurred up until now has been for your higher good, whether you see it or not yet. And I would say the chances are you probably don't. It's put you on a path that you would not have gone on if you'd stayed where you were. And growth is uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable, because if we weren't made uncomfortable, we wouldn't move. Oh, what was that quote? Oh, I forget now. It was a quote I literally heard this morning, and it was Carl Jung, I think. It puts me in mind of this. It's like all the things that you need to grow are in the places that you don't want to look, right? Whatever this is, right? Whatever that is, it needed to end, because you have got something better for you, waiting for you up ahead. And just noticed that that's the Six of Swords there is twice. It's on the bottom of both decks, right? Moving away from things that are wounded, actually, is the honest truth. So I'm going to leave it there, Virgo, because that's like so much more positive, I feel, than I was worried that it would be off the back of the meditation, you know. But there's been something new waiting for you for a while now. The last few readings have spoken about that. So, you know, lift up your head, don't look at your knees, and just be ready for when these things come in, because they are coming in, and they're coming in, it looks like, in March. So be ready for them. All right, I love you all. Take care.